The colony of Asteria 9 was not a famous place in the wide galaxy. It was a quiet settlement on the edge of Earth's growing reach into the stars. The colony circled a pale silver moon that reflected the light of its parent planet, a giant blue world covered with endless oceans. Few travelers visited Asteria 9 because it was not a place of wealth or power. It was a place of families, small farms, quiet research stations, and one building that everyone called the heart of the colony, the Orphanage. The Orphanage was not large. It was made of smooth white stone and curved glass, standing on a hill that overlooked the colony's main settlement. Children of many ages lived there, some as young as 3, some almost ready to leave for training schools. The people of Asteria 9 often said that the orphanage was their pride, because it showed the best of humanity's kindness. Children who had lost families in space accidents or whose parents had vanished on distant exploration missions were cared for there. Each morning, the sound of laughter and voices carried across the colony as the children played outside. Teachers guided them with patience, and older colonists visited to bring food, toys, or simply to spend time with them. It was a tradition for new settlers to visit the orphanage first, as if to remind themselves that every journey among the stars was also for the sake of the young and the future they represented. The sky above Asteria 9 was usually calm. Merchant ships passed through rarely, and Earth defense patrols came only once in a while. The people believed they were safe, far from the tensions that sometimes flared between alien empires. They believed that no harm could reach such a small and peaceful place. But peace is fragile. On the day it happened, the sun above Asteria 9 shone brightly, painting the colony in golden light. Children were outside playing a simple game with painted stones, their laughter echoing. The teachers watched with warm smiles. To anyone who stood there, the moment felt eternal, as if the world itself was untouched by the troubles of the galaxy. High above, however, the silent sky was no longer safe. From beyond the shadows of the moon, unknown ships emerged. Their shapes were sharp, their metal dark, and their presence carried no announcement or signal. They were not traders, not explorers. They were predators moving with purpose. The colony's scanners picked them up only seconds before the attack. Asteria 9 had no true defenses, only a few patrol drones and light shuttles. The alarm rang across the settlement, sharp and urgent but too late. The alien fleet opened fire. Beams of bright energy tore through the thin atmosphere, striking the surface with merciless accuracy. The settlement's outer buildings shattered. Dust and fire filled the air. The people ran for cover, but there was no time to resist. The orphanage, standing on its hill, was a target. Whether by chance or design, one of the first blasts struck near its foundation. The ground shook violently. Children screamed in fear as teachers rushed to shield them. For a brief moment, the building still stood, trembling but not broken. Then the second strike came. From orbit, a spear of white light cut through the sky and struck the orphanage directly. The glass windows exploded outward. The walls buckled. The hill itself collapsed under the impact. And in that instant, the laughter that had filled the colony for years was silenced. When the attack ended, Asteria 9 was in ruins. The alien fleet did not stay. They had come to destroy, not to conquer. Without sending a single word, without leaving a single survivor of their own, they vanished into the void as quickly as they had arrived. The colonists who survived searched through the remains of their homes, calling out for loved ones. Smoke and ash rose into the air, carrying with them the scent of loss. When the survivors reached the hill, they saw only broken stone and deep shadows where the orphanage had once stood. The silence there was worse than the noise of destruction. The teachers were gone. The children were gone. Nothing was left but fragments and memory. The news reached Earth within hours. At first, the message was broken, filled with static from damaged transmitters. But the image of the destroyed orphanage survived. It was broadcast across every human world, every station, every ship. People stopped in their work. Soldiers on patrol froze at their posts. Leaders paused in their meetings. Mothers and fathers held their children tightly. The picture of the hill, once a place of laughter, now only ruins, spread like a fire through the human spirit. On Earth itself, a crowd gathered in silence in front of the United Earth Assembly building. No one had called them there. They came because grief had become too heavy to carry alone. In that silence, something changed. Humanity, which had always been divided by nations, languages, and rivalries, now shared one thought. The loss of Asteria 9's children was not just the colony's tragedy. It was the tragedy of an entire species. Among the assembly, Commander Elias Grant stood watching the broadcast. He was an old soldier who had fought in skirmishes along the border of alien territories. He had seen battles, but nothing like this. He knew what this meant. "The galaxy will think we are weak," he said quietly. "They will believe they can do this again. They must learn they are wrong." Other leaders nodded. Some were filled with anger, others with sorrow, but all shared the same resolve. It was not only about revenge, it was about showing the galaxy that humanity would not allow the destruction of its most innocent without an answer. Back on the ruins of Asteria 9, survivors built a memorial. It was small, just a circle of stones taken from the hilltop. In the center, they placed a single flag of Earth. It was torn and burned from the attack, but it still stood. Around it, they placed toys that had been found in the wreckage. A painted ball, a small wooden puzzle, a doll with one arm missing. No one spoke. Words felt too small. Instead, they stood together, hands joined, eyes lifted toward the silent sky. They knew the galaxy was vast, filled with countless empires and powers greater than themselves. But in that moment, the people of Asteria 9 believed in one thing: humanity would rise. The first part of the story of retaliation began not with weapons, but with grief. It began with the silence left behind when children's voices were taken from the world. It began with the vow whispered by every survivor, every mother, every father, every soldier, every leader. This will not be forgotten. This will not be unanswered. And across the stars, humanity's enemies would soon learn what it meant when humans carried their grief into battle. The destruction of Asteria 9 shook not just the colony, but the entire human world. News of the attack traveled faster than any starship, carried through the quantum comm network that linked Earth to its distant settlements. Every screen, every hologram, every ship's display flashed the images: the collapsed orphanage, the scorched hill, the toys scattered among the ruins. It was a tragedy so deep that even hardened soldiers could not look away. In the United Earth Assembly, emergency meetings were called immediately. Normally, such councils were slow, filled with endless debate and compromise. But now there was no room for hesitation. The leaders of humanity, from every continent, every space agency, every branch of the armed forces, gathered in a single chamber. Their faces were tired, etched with sorrow, but their eyes burned with a new determination. "We cannot allow this to happen again," said Chancellor Mira Solari, her voice steady but trembling with anger. "Our children have been taken from us. Our colonies have been desecrated, and the galaxy will assume we are weak unless we act." The room was silent for a moment. Then Commander Elias Grant stepped forward. He had returned from his post at the Outer Rim Defense Station, his uniform worn and marked by battles fought at the edges of human space. He had seen alien technology and military tactics that would have terrified any ordinary human, yet his expression now was grim but resolute. "They chose the wrong species to test," he said. "Humanity is not fragile. We may not have the oldest fleets or the strongest shields, but we have something every empire underestimates: our unity, our resourcefulness, and our will to fight for what is right." Whispers ran through the council chamber. Some leaders nodded in agreement while others frowned, concerned about the risks of retaliation. The alien perpetrators were not an unknown force. They were rumored to belong to a powerful empire that had already subdued multiple star systems. A direct attack would be dangerous, yet no one could argue against the moral weight of the decision. Meanwhile, scientists across Earth were working day and night. In research labs on the Moon, Mars, and orbital stations, engineers and physicists gathered to develop weapons capable of reaching the alien fleet. But the focus was not just on destruction. Humanity had learned that conventional weapons might not suffice against an advanced civilization. They needed precision, intelligence, and innovation. Dr. Lian Chen, the lead engineer of the Stellar Defense Project, explained their plan to the Council. "We are designing a system that can disrupt the energy cores of their ships," she said. "It will not harm planets or innocent populations, but it will neutralize the fleet that attacked Asteria 9. We must be precise. One mistake could escalate into interstellar war." "Precision is fine," Commander Grant replied, "but we need more than tools. We need people who are willing to fight, to risk everything. We need humans who understand that this is about protecting life, about standing for our children." Recruitment for Earth's fleet surged. Young men and women, older veterans, scientists, and engineers, all volunteered. The call for service was not only for soldiers. Pilots, technicians, strategists, and medical personnel joined. Every human felt that this was not a distant conflict. It was personal. As Earth's fleets were assembled, intelligence teams worked to track the alien empire responsible for the attack. Using a combination of long-range sensors and intercepted communications, they learned that the enemy had once been a small, growing power, but had grown strong through aggressive conquests. Their empire was built on fear and compliance, and they considered humans insignificant. The first reports were almost unbelievable. The aliens had destroyed colonies before, but never a settlement as small and peaceful as Asteria 9. Most empires would leave such worlds untouched. Humanity's enemies had underestimated the strength of human emotion, and that mistake would cost them. In the command room aboard the Earth flagship, Admiral Rael Vargas reviewed the intel with Commander Grant. Large holographic displays showed the alien fleet's probable routes, defensive formations, and weak points. The humans had one advantage: they were unpredictable. Where most alien commanders relied on strategy and logic, humans often relied on creativity, intuition, and determination. "Do they truly think we are weak?" Vargas asked, shaking his head. "They've never seen what humans can do when their families are threatened." "They will," Grant said quietly, "and they will learn the hard way." Back on Earth, the families of Asteria 9 and other colonies gathered in memorials. Children who had survived other attacks were comforted by teachers and guardians. The grief was immense, but even in sorrow, humans found ways to act. Volunteers organized relief missions, repaired damaged ships, and trained new recruits for the fleet. Humanity's response was not only military, it was a demonstration of resilience, compassion, and unity. In classrooms and homes, children listened to stories about the lost orphanage. They learned about courage, hope, and the promise of standing against injustice. Teachers emphasized that revenge alone was not the goal. Protection of life and the remembrance of those lost was what mattered. These lessons, small as they seemed, would shape a generation ready to face the stars with courage. Meanwhile, the alien empire continued its expansion, unaware that Earth had taken notice. Scouts reported minor human patrols, thinking them insignificant. But Earth had learned from history. Underestimating humans was a dangerous mistake. Every training exercise, every strategic simulation, every prototype weapon was carefully prepared for a single purpose: to send a message that humanity could not be ignored. The fleets grew steadily. Ships of every design and size were mobilized. Advanced defense drones, laser cannons, and quantum communications were installed. Pilots trained in zero-gravity maneuvers, engineers perfected energy shields, and strategists studied alien tactics. Every human involved knew that this was more than preparation for war. It was preparation for survival, dignity, and the honor of the lost children. Weeks passed. Earth's leaders debated, planned, and tested. Each day, humanity's resolve strengthened. The alien empire may have been larger, older, and more experienced in war, but they did not know the human spirit. And now, humanity would show them. Commander Grant often walked the decks of the flagship at night, staring at the stars. He thought of the children of Asteria 9, their laughter, their hopes, their innocent trust in the universe. He remembered the hilltop, The bright white walls and the hill now turned to ruins. That memory fueled him more than any weapon. "It's not just about destruction," he told the officers around him one evening. "It's about proving that life, hope, and kindness have power. If they think humans are weak because we feel, they are wrong. Our emotions make us stronger. They make us unstoppable." As the human fleets prepared to move out of the solar system, Earth sent one final message to the galaxy, a signal of warning and resolve. It was not a threat in words, but in demonstration. The message contained detailed images of Asteria 9's ruin, statements of remembrance for the children, and an unspoken promise: humanity would act. In the void between stars, scouts detected a faint signal from the alien empire. It was dismissive, mocking even. They did not yet see humans as a threat. That miscalculation would be their first mistake. On Earth, families, scientists, and soldiers watched the skies. They were united by grief, yes, but also by hope. Hope that even against overwhelming odds, humanity could protect what was dear. Hope that the children of the galaxy would never be forgotten. Hope that one day the human name would carry weight, fear, and respect across the stars. And so, the stage was set. The quiet planet, the peaceful colonies, and the lost orphanage had sparked the beginnings of something the galaxy had never seen before. A human resolve born of loss, strengthened by love, and guided by determination. The aliens had believed humans to be fragile. They had believed emotion made humans weak. They were about to learn the opposite. The human fleet had traveled for weeks through the empty blackness of space. Each star they passed was a silent witness to their journey, each planet a reminder of what they were defending. Commander Elias Grant stood on the bridge of the flagship, Resolve, staring at the vast expanse ahead. The void seemed endless, yet he felt no fear. Humanity had prepared for this moment, and the memory of Asteria 9's lost children burned brighter than any star. The alien fleet they were tracking had gathered near an asteroid belt at the edge of the Orion expanse. Sensors showed hundreds of ships, sleek and metallic, moving with coordinated precision. Their commanders, arrogant and dismissive, believed that the humans approaching them were nothing more than inexperienced settlers. They did not know what determination could do. "Commander Grant," Lieutenant Mara Solis said, pointing at the main display. "Scanners indicate multiple energy shields around their fleet. They're ready for a defensive maneuver, but their formation is predictable." Grant nodded. "Predictable, yes, but dangerous. We cannot underestimate them. Remember, they destroyed Asteria 9 without warning. They fight with cold precision." The fleet was tense. Pilots adjusted their harnesses, engineers checked systems for the 100th time, and soldiers held their positions with quiet determination. Yet, beneath the tension, there was a shared feeling of purpose. Humanity was no longer a collection of distant colonies. It was united, and it was about to show the galaxy what that unity meant. The first skirmish began as scouts approached the asteroid belt. Small alien drones swarmed toward them, fast and aggressive. Human pilots engaged with skill and creativity, weaving through the dense field of rocks. Laser fire lit the void, illuminating the jagged edges of asteroids in brilliant flashes. For the first time, the aliens saw humans fight, not with raw power, but with ingenuity. Lieutenant Solis piloted her fighter with calm precision. She dodged incoming fire, flipped her ship over the edge of a tumbling asteroid, and launched a counterattack that disabled a drone squad. "They won't see this coming," she muttered, a faint smile crossing her face. The battle intensified. Alien cruisers moved to intercept, but human fleets used the asteroid field as cover, making it nearly impossible for the aliens to aim effectively. Engineers on the flagship deployed drones equipped with electromagnetic pulses, disrupting alien communication for crucial seconds. Those seconds were enough. Commander Grant issued the order: "Focus fire on the lead cruisers. Keep the formation tight. Remember why we fight. Remember Asteria 9. Despite being outnumbered, humans fought with coordination and courage. Every maneuver, every shot, and every decision was precise. Alien pilots, confident in their superiority, found themselves reacting to unexpected tactics. They had never seen a species fight so unpredictably, so fiercely, and with such purpose. The first wave of alien ships was pushed back, retreating toward the inner edge of the asteroid belt. Human fighters pursued, cutting off escape routes. The humans' combination of skill, determination, and ingenuity began to turn the tide. Yet the victory came with cost. Several human fighters were lost, their crews hailed as heroes. Engineers and medics worked tirelessly to repair damaged ships. Commander Grant walked through the decks, offering quiet words of encouragement, reminding his people that every sacrifice mattered. "This is more than just a battle," he said. "It's a message. Humanity will not bow, not now, not ever. The galaxy will learn that our resolve is stronger than fear." After the first encounter, Earth strategists analyzed the alien fleet's weaknesses. The ships relied heavily on structured formations and predictable firing patterns. While their technology was superior, their reliance on logic and routine left gaps that humans could exploit. Dr. Leon Chen worked closely with military tacticians to develop adaptive strategies. "They think predictability equals control," she explained. "We will use unpredictability. Human intuition, creativity, and improvisation will be our advantage." The aliens, meanwhile, were shaken. They had assumed that humans would be easily defeated. Their first encounter had shown them that human determination, driven by grief and purpose, could rival even the most advanced technology. Reports spread through their fleet, whispers of concern among officers and fear in the lower ranks. For the first time, the humans were not just survivors. They were a real threat. The human fleet pressed onward, pushing the alien forces further into the asteroid belt. Commander Grant and Admiral Vargas held a council in the flagship's strategy room, studying the battlefield maps. "We cannot stop here," Grant said. "This is just the beginning. They will regroup. We must anticipate their moves and strike where they are weakest." Vargas nodded. "Our scouts report a larger fleet moving from the inner system. We might face a second wave. But with what we've learned, we can outmaneuver them." The council devised a plan to lure the main alien fleet into a narrow passage between two massive asteroid clusters. Human ships would strike from multiple angles using the terrain for cover, and their specialized drones would disrupt alien systems. It was risky, but calculated. It relied on human ingenuity and bold action, something the aliens could not predict. As the humans prepared for the next phase, the children of Asteria 9 remained in their memory, guiding every decision. On every bridge, in every cockpit, and in every control room, images of the orphanage and its laughter fueled the human spirit. It was not just a memory. It was a reason to fight, to survive, and to show the galaxy that no attack on innocence would go unanswered. The next encounter would be decisive, human pilots studied asteroid trajectories, engineers optimized weapon systems, and medics prepared for casualties. Every human understood the stakes. This was not only a battle for survival, it was a demonstration of what humanity represented: courage, unity, and the strength of emotion that no alien empire could calculate. Finally, the day of the second encounter arrived. The fleet moved into position near the narrow passage, shadows of massive asteroids stretching across the void like silent guardians. The alien fleet approached, confident as ever, expecting an easy victory. Lieutenant Solis led her squadron through the narrow passage, weaving between asteroids as alien lasers fired from all directions. Explosions lit the void, and the hum of energy shields filled the silence between rocks. The aliens were caught off guard. Human fighters attacked from unexpected angles. Drones disrupted communication, and every strike was precise. For hours the battle raged, yet humanity held, never retreating, never faltering. Every human in the fleet understood the importance of this moment. The aliens were powerful, but humans had something they could not calculate: determination born of loss, and the creativity to turn even impossible situations into victories. By the end of the battle, the human fleet emerged victorious, though battered. Several ships were damaged and lives were lost, but the alien fleet had been forced to retreat. Humanity had proven that even a young species, underestimated by the galaxy, could stand against older, stronger civilizations. Commander Grant stood on the bridge, looking at the stars now quiet again. He spoke to his officers, his voice steady, but full of emotion. They thought we were weak. They thought grief would make us fragile, but they were wrong. Humanity will rise from loss. We will protect what is innocent, and we will never allow the galaxy to forget that lesson. The victory was more than strategic. It was symbolic. It was a warning to the galaxy that humans, though young and underestimated, were not to be ignored. As the fleet repaired and regrouped, Earth prepared for the next steps. They had proven their strength, but the journey was far from over. The alien empire, shaken and wary, would soon understand that humanity fought not only with weapons, but with the strength of their spirit. And above all, the memory of the lost. Children of Asteria 9 continued to guide every decision, every maneuver, and every strike. Humanity was no longer just a species among many. It was a force to be reckoned with. The human fleet moved through the void of deep space with silent determination. Stars stretched like scattered diamonds against the black canvas, indifferent to the lives that hung in balance below their distant light. Commander Elias Grant stood on the bridge of the flagship Resolve, studying the holographic map of the enemy stronghold. They were approaching the heart of the alien empire, a fortress near a dying star where the fleet responsible for Asteria 9 had gathered. "This is it," Grant said quietly to Admiral Vargas beside him. "Everything we've trained for, everything we've fought for, comes to this moment. Remember Asteria 9. Remember why we fight." Vargas nodded. "We have the advantage of preparation, but they will not go down easily. Their defenses are massive, energy shields, weapon platforms, and countless ships. But they underestimate the most dangerous weapon in the galaxy, human determination." The fleet moved in formation, using asteroid clusters and debris fields as cover. Human ships, though outnumbered, relied on strategy and creativity rather than brute force. Engineers activated specialized drones designed to infiltrate alien defenses, disrupt their energy systems, and relay critical information to the command fleet. Every maneuver, every strike was calculated with precision, yet flexible enough for human ingenuity. The dying star loomed ahead, a massive sphere of fading light. Its surface flickered with instability, solar flares sparking unpredictably into the void. Around it, the alien fleet had taken position, surrounding the star like predators waiting for prey. Their energy shields glowed ominously, and ships of various sizes formed layered defenses. Lieutenant Mara Solis led the first wave of fighters. Her squadron darted through the asteroid field, narrowly avoiding laser fire. Explosions scattered debris into the void, painting the darkness with streaks of light. She felt the same mix of fear and determination she had felt during the first encounter, but this time the stakes were higher. Every move mattered. "Keep formation," Grant's voice echoed over the comm. "Move as one, strike as one. We fight not just with weapons, but with our will. Let them see the strength of humanity." The first wave engaged the alien defenses directly. The enemy responded with coordinated attacks, attempting to push humans back. Yet human fighters used tactics the aliens could not predict, maneuvering through the star's irregular radiation bursts, using small asteroids as shields, and exploiting blind spots in alien formations. On the flagship, engineers worked tirelessly. Dr. Lian Chen and her team were preparing the stellar destabilizer, a device capable of triggering the dying star's collapse. It was humanity's final weapon, a last resort measure to end the alien threat once and for all. Chen monitored energy readings carefully. "We must be precise," she said. "One mistake, and the destabilizer could destroy everything, including our fleet. Timing is critical." Commander Grant's eyes did not leave the holographic display. "We have no other choice. We cannot allow this fleet to survive. They will only continue to destroy innocent lives. Activate the destabilizer only when I give the order." Every member of the fleet knew the risk. The weapon could change the system forever, and there was no turning back once it was activated. Yet the memory of Asteria 9 and the lives lost gave them courage. Humanity had never fought for conquest. They fought for life, for hope, and for justice. The battle escalated. Alien ships fired relentlessly, trying to overwhelm the humans with numbers. Energy shields flared and dimmed, hulls creaked under pressure, and explosions shook the void. Human pilots darted between attacks using every advantage the terrain offered. Engineers deployed more drones, some designed to sabotage enemy shields, others to carry small explosive charges directly into alien vessels. Lieutenant Solis's squadron managed to disable a key alien cruiser, opening a gap in the enemy formation. Grant saw this opportunity. All squadrons converge on the lead ships. Push them toward the destabilizer zone. We fight not just for victory, but for every life they've taken. The human fleet surged forward, exploiting the gap. Alien ships attempted to adjust, but human unpredictability and bold tactics kept them off balance. The first wave of alien cruisers was destroyed, and panic began to ripple through the enemy ranks. Amid the chaos, the humans held their lines. Every ship was coordinated, every maneuver synchronized. The dying star's radiation flares added unpredictable challenges, yet human creativity turned danger into opportunity. Pilots used the flares to mask their approach, engineers adjusted, energy shields in real time, and medics prepared for the injured, knowing their work might save lives and morale. "This is more than strategy," Grant said to his officers. "This is humanity. The galaxy has never seen what it means to fight with the courage of grief, hope, and determination. We are not here to conquer. We are here to protect what is innocent." The alien fleet, realizing they were losing control, attempted a desperate retreat. But humans were relentless. Drones disabled communication channels, fighters blocked escape routes, and the flagship moved into position. The time had come to activate the stellar destabilizer. Dr. Chen's team prepared the final sequence. "Ready," she said, her voice calm despite the tension. "Energy readings are optimal. Weapon systems are synchronized. We wait for your order, Commander." Grant nodded, his hand steady on the command console. "For Asteria 9, for every life they have taken, activate." A wave of energy surged from the flagship, targeting the core of the dying star. The star flickered violently, its surface roiling with instability. Alien shields strained to respond, but the humans had calculated every variable. The destabilizer worked as intended. The star began to collapse inward, drawing the alien fleet toward it. Ships exploded under the immense gravitational forces, and energy ripples spread across the system. The alien empire's stronghold was obliterated, leaving nothing behind but fragments of debris. Silence followed. The void seemed to pause, almost in awe of the destruction. The human fleet regrouped, battered but victorious. Survivors cheered quietly, knowing the cost had been high, but also that justice had been served. Humanity had faced a powerful empire and emerged triumphant, not through hatred, but through determination, intelligence, and unity. Commander Grant stood on the bridge, looking at the remnants of the star and the enemy fleet. "They underestimated us," he said softly. "They thought emotion was weakness, but it is our strength, our grief, our hope, our love for life. That is what makes us unstoppable." Admiral Vargas placed a hand on his shoulder. "The galaxy will remember this day. Humanity has made its mark. We fight not for power, but for protection. And now they know, humans are not to be underestimated." As the fleet returned to safer space, communications were sent to every human colony. The message was simple but powerful. Humanity had faced impossible odds and emerged victorious. The galaxy had witnessed the strength of a species united not by fear, but by the courage to protect the innocent. Back on Earth, memorials were held for those lost in Asteria 9 and the battles that followed. Families, soldiers, and citizens reflected on the sacrifices made and on the incredible resilience of humans when pushed to the edge. Schools and training academies shared the story as an example of what humanity could achieve when united in purpose and guided by morality. The memory of the orphanage, its laughter and innocence, became a symbol across the galaxy. Children in distant colonies heard the story, learning that even in the darkest moments humans could rise, defend, and prevail. Humanity's strength was no longer a secret. It was a lesson to all civilizations that sought to underestimate them. Commander Grant and his officers watched the stars, knowing that this was not the end, but a turning point. The alien empire had been shattered, its fleets decimated, but the galaxy was vast and new challenges would inevitably arise. Yet humanity had learned something fundamental. It was not the oldest or strongest species that could prevail, but the one with courage, ingenuity, and unity. And above all, humanity had learned that even loss, even grief, could become a source of unimaginable strength. The children of Asteria 9 had not been forgotten. Their memory had inspired an entire species to rise, to fight, and to protect what was pure and innocent. As the fleet sailed home through the quiet expanse of space, a new chapter began. Not just a victory, but of a human legacy, one that would be remembered across the stars for generations, that humanity, though young, could face the darkness and bring light. The void was quiet now. No alarms echoed through the fleet, no lasers lit the darkness. The alien empire's stronghold had been destroyed, its ships shattered or consumed by the collapsing star. For the first time in weeks, the human fleet could breathe. Victory, though earned through struggle, hung in the air like a fragile flame, bright yet trembling. Commander Elias Grant stood on the bridge of the flagship Resolve, watching the remnants of the dying star. Its surface had collapsed inward, forming a swirling mass of light and shadow. The alien fleet that had threatened countless innocent lives, including the children of Asteria 9, was gone. Yet Grant did not feel triumph. The victory was bitter, tinged with the memory of those lost. Every child, every teacher, every civilian who had perished in the initial attack weighed heavily on his mind. Admiral Vargas placed a hand on his shoulder. "We did what we had to do," she said softly. "We honored those we lost by ensuring this never happens again." Grant nodded, though his eyes remained fixed on the darkened star. "It is done," he whispered. "But the galaxy will remember this moment, not because of destruction, but because humanity acted to protect what was innocent. That is our legacy." The human fleet began the long journey back to Earth. Ships moved in formation, each crew member quietly reflecting on what they had witnessed. Some were filled with relief, others with sorrow. Battles had been fought, lives had been lost, and yet humanity had proven something far greater than strength in combat. The power of determination, unity, and moral courage. On board the flagship, Dr. Lian Chen monitored energy readings one final time. The stellar destabilizer, now inactive, had fulfilled its purpose. She allowed herself a small smile. "It worked as planned," she said. "We did not destroy for power, only for protection." A young pilot, Lieutenant Solis, walked past, still catching her breath from the last engagement. "I never imagined we could do something like this," she said. "I mean, a star, gone, and the enemy fleet with it. It feels unreal." Grant looked at her and smiled faintly. "Unreal, yes, but necessary. The galaxy must know that humans will fight for what is right. They will never forget what we can do when we protect life." Across the fleet, messages began to arrive from distant colonies. Holographic transmissions from Earth, Mars, Titan, and other settlements greeted the returning fleet. Families and friends of those lost in Asteria 9 and the battles that followed expressed relief and gratitude. Children who had survived previous attacks were reassured that the humans who defended them were more than soldiers. They were guardians of hope. In memorials across Earth and its colonies, the story of Asteria 9 was told anew. The images of the orphanage, the hill, the scattered toys, and the brave efforts of humanity's fleet became symbols of courage and unity. Citizens placed flowers, candles, and toys in remembrance, vowing that the innocent would never be forgotten. Even in distant colonies, the name of the lost children inspired hope. Teachers told stories of their laughter, of their dreams, and of the people who had fought to ensure that no empire could destroy such innocence without consequence. Humanity's grief had become its greatest strength, shaping a generation that understood courage and justice in the vastness of the stars. Commander Grant walked among the fleet's survivors. Engineers, medics, pilots, and soldiers moved past him, quietly cleaning, repairing, and documenting the mission. Every face reflected exhaustion and relief, but also pride. Humanity had accomplished the impossible. The alien empire had underestimated them, and that miscalculation would echo through the galaxy for generations. "You all did well," Grant said, stopping to address a group of pilots. "Remember, this victory was not just about the fleet or the weapon. It was about humanity itself. We fought with our minds, our hearts, and our unity. We showed the galaxy what it means to protect the innocent." A pilot, young and wide-eyed, raised her head. "Commander, do you think the aliens will try again?" Grant shook his head slowly. "Some may, but they will never underestimate us again. And every human who fights will do so knowing that we defend not just ourselves, but life itself. That is a lesson no one can ignore." As the fleet entered the Sol system, Earth greeted them with celebrations tempered by remembrance. Cities, spaceports, and orbital stations displayed lights and banners. Children of all ages looked up at the returning ships with awe. They did not know the full horrors of the battles, but they knew the message. Humanity could rise even in the face of overwhelming odds. In one memorial ceremony on Earth, a young child placed a toy on a stone circle, similar to the memorial, built on Asteria 9's hill. "For them," she whispered, "we will never forget." Soldiers and officers attended in silence, their eyes reflecting a mixture of grief and hope. The memory of lost innocence had become the foundation of humanity's strength. Each person who survived the battles carried that memory forward, knowing it would guide future generations. News of humanity's victory spread beyond the Sol system. Other civilizations, previously dismissive of humans, now regarded them with respect and caution. Reports described the alien empire's stronghold obliterated, their fleets decimated, and the human tactics that combined intelligence, courage, and unpredictability. Analysts across the galaxy remarked that humans, though young, were capable of feats other species would consider impossible. But humanity did not celebrate with arrogance. The victories were not about power or conquest. They were about justice, protection, and honor. Every ship returned home not as a conqueror, but as a guardian. The legacy of Asteria 9 and the children lost became a moral compass, reminding all humans of what truly mattered. Commander Grant, standing once more on the bridge of the Resolve, looked out at the stars. The galaxy was vast and dangerous, and new challenges would inevitably arise. But he felt confidence, not fear. Humanity had learned something essential. Strength came not from weapons alone, but from unity, ingenuity, and moral courage. He thought of the children of Asteria 9, their laughter and hope that had been silenced too soon. He thought of the families, the teachers, and the brave pilots who had risked everything. Their memory had carried humanity through the darkness and into victory. "The stars remember," he said quietly, "and so will we." Across the human colonies, across the fleet, and across generations to come, that memory endured. It became a symbol of what humans could achieve, not for dominance, but for protection. Humanity had fought, not out of hate, but out of care. And that, more than any weapon, was what made them extraordinary. The galaxy had witnessed a young species rise from loss, tragedy, and grief. Humanity had turned mourning into determination, fear into courage, and sorrow into a force capable of facing impossible odds. The darkened star, once a symbol of alien power, now stood as a testament to human resilience and strength. In the years that followed, the story of Asteria 9 was taught in schools, discussed in councils, and remembered in ceremonies. Children learned that bravery was not only in battle, but in protecting what was innocent. Leaders learned that moral courage could unite a species stronger than any empire. Scientists learned that creativity, intelligence, and cooperation could turn despair into triumph, and the galaxy, once dismissive of humanity, could no longer ignore them. The species that had been underestimated had proven that grief, hope, and determination were forces more powerful than any technology. Humanity's legacy had begun, not with conquest, but with the courage to protect, to remember, and to rise above tragedy. And across the stars, the echo of lost laughter became a beacon of light, guiding every human toward a future filled with strength, hope, and unity. Even in the silent darkness of space, one truth shone brighter than any star. Humans, though young and small among the cosmos, were unstoppable when guided by justice and compassion.